We're on Shabbat Perek Bet, Mishnah Vav. Famous Mishnah, but at the same time, a troubling Mishnah. We're talking, of course, about Bameh Madlikim, and this is the 6th Mishnah in Bameh Madlikim. Says the Mishnah, Shalosh averot nashim meitot b'shat leidatam. Women die during childbirth because of 3 sins. Asher inan zirot b'nida, u'b'chala, u'b'hadlakat haner. Whether it's because they're not careful about Hilchot Nida, or Hafrashat Chala, taking off Chala, or Adlakat Nerot. So, it's a very straightforward Mishnah. On the other hand, it's a very, very challenging and difficult Mishnah. First of all, the whole context, women die during childbirth because. Now, on the other hand, on the one hand, childbirth at the time was extremely, exceedingly dangerous, and it was considered a time of Sakarat Nefashot. Even today it is. But one can understand that I think it's very common that women die during childbirth. So it was something that Chazal felt the need to connect to mitzvot that were connected specifically to women and their responsibilities. At the same time, it's obviously very troubling. How are we supposed to relate to a Mishnah like this? I'm going to give you 2 explanations, but just tell you in advance that they're not really satisfying. The answer is 100%. Finally, we have to ask the final question. I understand Nida is an Isur Karet. Chala, also, you're eating trumo that belongs to the Kohen, if you're not careful. That's also an Isur, I think, Mita B'dei Shamayim, we said. Why Adlakat Ner? Meaning, one of these things is not like the other. Nida is fine, we understand, whatever. Chala also, but why specifically Adlakat Ner? So the first answer is that these things are not inherently specific to women. It's things that are related to women. But the Gemara in Shabbat says the following. Very simply, the Gemara says, Shlosha Badkei Mita Nivu Be'isha. Okay, 3 badkei mita, 3 things that are badkei that she'll be examined for about an isha. V'amrulei shlosha davkei mita, 3 things that are connected, are stuck to mita. Nida, v'chala, v'adlakat haner, whether nida or chala or adlakat haner. Okay, and with other things that nashim yoldot, things that shalosh aver nashim metot yoldot, 3 sins that women are yoldot. And you should just know that in the Gemara, there are different things. Rabbi Acha says, they wash their kids' clothes on Shabbat. And some say they call an Aron Kodesh Arona. So it's not just these 3 things, there's other things on the list. Why? Badke, Rashi says, Onot Shabot Kinotam. People are examined at different times in their lives. Behem b'sha'at sakana. K'dirabanan de'amar yodot. I.e., in times of sakana. So it happens to be, it's not inherently connected to childbirth, according to the Mishnah. But it happens to be that when a woman is giving birth, it's shat sakana. And then the universe, celestial beings, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks in and says, how were you? Did you do the mitzvah you're not supposed to do? Okay, so that's one interpretation. These are women's mitzvot. The Bartanura says simply, the fishet tzarchei habayim. These are things that were related to the house. Nida, the sexual connection with the relationship with your husband and wife, it's up to the woman. Chala, she makes the bread, it's up to her. Hadlakat haner is the same way. He misuya babayit, tluyiva, it's her mitzvot. So that's why when there's a sakana, b'shat sakana, mizuman puranuta. When there's a sakana, puranut are mizuman, are available, are aware. They're there. And therefore, the mitzvot that are hers, those are the ones that she'll be examined for. That's the second explanation. The third one is Rabbi Lamed. Rabbi Lamed connects it, he says, there's an avot Rabbi Natan and Yerushalmi that connects these 3 mitzvot specifically to chet of Chava, the specific chet of Chava. Adam damo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Adam was somehow the blood of God. But Chava v'shafachto. Chava spilled the blood. That's why she had Nida. Okay? Adam Arishon was the Chala of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tehorah. She made it Tameh, so that's why she had to take Chala. Adam was the Neiro shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Adam was the light of God. I don't want to minimize or make light of these midrashim. These are midrashim. So he says, therefore, because of the sin of Chava, specifically related to women, for which women are trying to be mechaper in some way, that's why nashim are meitot b'shat lidatam. That's why that causes them to die during childbirth, because they're her mitzvot that are specifically connected to Adam Harishon, to the sin of Gan Eden. I don't really actually know what that means. I don't pretend, I don't want to mimic it, or to mock it, and to make light of it. The Chazal were obviously trying to relate to something a lot deeper, and why these specific mitzvot, Nida and Chala and Hadlak Haner, were specifically given to women, because they are women's mitzvot, first and foremost. It's their responsibility. And for that reason, and how that's connected to Shat Leidatan, At least according to the Midrash, we'd understand, because childbirth after the sin of the Etadat, childbirth then became very dangerous. So at least according to the Midrash, these three sins, these three mitzvot were connected to something that women did, and also somehow connected inherently to childbirth. It's something that has to be studied a little bit better and more carefully and more clearly in order for us, I think, to understand it in its proper way. We'll stop here. If you have ideas or thoughts, as always, feel free to contact me at, here we are, rspolter@gmail.com. Nope, my mistake. I will dedicate the learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.